Hello, I'm Rupert Turton, and welcome to the Business Spotlight, where we talk to local business owners about their journeys. Today, I'm talking to Joanna Streames from the Velvet Mortgage and Insure services that she runs with her daughters, and has been for the last 9 years. So, hello, Joanne.
Hello there. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you.
Cool. Let's start. Do you want to explain what you do with Velvet, how long you've been doing it, why you got it into it in the first place?
Yes, of course. So I've been in the industry for 13 years, and that industry is financial services. So I am owner and mortgage and protection advisor at Velvet Mortgage and Services. And what we do is we say we make you financially savvy, really, through your mortgage process. We signpost you in other ways to help you be financially savvy, and we help you get that mortgage paid off as cheaply and as quickly as possible, saving you thousands, and trying to come up with a plan to help you end your mortgage early. And then what we do is we also make sure that you're protecting your world. So your world, your family, your business, your income, everything that means everything to you. We help you to protect that as well. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
And what was the inspiration behind starting Velvet?
Well, so as I said, I've been in the industry for 13 years, and I did kind of fall into it. Some people may or may not have heard of my apprentice story. So for a bit of fun, I guess, I applied to the apprentice many years ago, 14 years ago now. And I ended up getting further and further along in that process, which was a bit of a shock. And the person that I worked for at the time was an estate agency. We set the estate agency up in credit crunch, really bad timing, but we were doing really well. And then they promised me to make me a partner and everything if I came back from the apprentice. I got down to the last, I think, 25 in the process of about 25,000. And then I did go back. Excited, thinking, I'm going to become a partner, I'm going to buy a few shares. And then it became apparent after about a year that that was not really true and wasn't going to happen. So I lost trust, and I went to work for one of the other partners in that estate agency who owned a mortgage and protection firm. So I kind of fell into it. I was heartbroken at the time. Felt worse than any breakup I'd ever gone through, because I thought my life was going to be an estate agency. I really enjoyed it. But then I went into this, and it was one of those, when you look back, it happened for a reason. And I started learning just about protection, first of all. And then, with having lost my own mum the day after I was 19 and my sister was 12, and we were really quite poor and we were struggling because that happened, it felt like I could really make a difference, and it became really like a calling. So that was that. I tried to succeed, and I did succeed to a certain extent within that business, but they just didn't have the same morals, values aligned with my own. And there was lots of extra things I wanted to do for clients that maybe weren't money-making activities. So I was discouraged, shall we say, from doing those. And I tried to break the glass ceiling from inside, and after quite a lot of years of trying, realized that was never going to happen. So that's where I left. And 3 years ago, just over, Velvet became its own brand in its own right. So before working under other people's branding, but we created our own brand 3 years ago and went fully for it. So that's where it comes from, stopping people going through what I went through.
So actually it's an event that actually spurred the incarnation of Velvet as it is today.
And I just feel like it doesn't sound like an interesting job, insurance and mortgages, but for me it's everything, and I absolutely love it. I love doing it differently, trying to shake things up in this industry. We talk about taking it from the grey stale male, because it's all
that'd be me then.
It's all older guys really at the moment, predominantly. There's only 17% of women at advisor level or above, so quite exciting trying to change some of that in many
ways. Okay. So what are the biggest challenges in the industry at the moment?
Well, Apart
from the stale grey mail.
Yeah, that was the biggest last year, but we're making waves there. No,
Yeah.
this year, I would say, we've got a cost of living crisis. We can't ignore that.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with people who were on 1% something, going up more to 4%. Last year, back end of last year, it was chaos after the mini budget. And, we have people at 5 point something going up towards 6%. So that is a struggle for people. But now that is common knowledge, it was harder at first when it was first happening. Now people are expecting it, so it's not so bad, and there are some stabilized rates. But that's tough. That's tough for people. So I think also there are people cancelling their protection. So when we say protection, we're talking about life insurance and sick pay and critical illness, things that are vital for you in those times of life when you suffer those adversities. People tend to, in this country, cancel those quite willy-nilly.
A
lot more support needed to get your clients to understand that because there's a cost of living crisis, there's still a cost of cancer crisis, there's still a cost of living with a mental health illness crisis, back crisis, a cost of death crisis, because those things don't stop happening because we're in a cost of living crisis. So it's actually more important than ever that we find a way to help you, whether that means reducing things a little bit. But, so there's a lot more time as an industry, I think, that we have to put in to do a really good job to support the consumer at the moment.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting as well because the way you're speaking, it comes across about your values and morals inside the business as well. It's not just, it's about the people. It's not about the product, I suppose.
I expect you to say that, Rupert. So that is what I try and get across in my business, and I've had people working with me over the last couple of years where we just could not get that message across. And it's like, I go and I do talks. So I do talks maybe to sets of entrepreneurs, the consumer, if you like, but I also do talks to our industry. I feel so passionately that we need to raise the vibration of this industry. It's not the most trusted. And I can understand why, because, we sometimes as an industry do forget that it's not about policies, it's not about mortgages, it's not about deals. It's about that person at the end and what you're doing for them. And that's the most important thing that everyone needs to do to make this a better industry for everyone.
And that also begs the question, what's your aspirations for the company in the next 5 years?
Well, I would love to grow. So I've got lots of aspirations, and I split it into two really quite vulgar, if you like, sectors. To make it, I explain it to people that we speak to, and I explain it to my team. And the first one is make me rich, and the second make me famous. No interest in being famous. And when I say rich, I mean financial stability for me and my company. We are quite a new business in our own right now. And so with all these changes that we're all going through with the energy rates and mortgage rates and all of this, it's choppy waters for everyone. So when I say make me rich, every time I'm doing something, I think to myself, is that going to help me personally make my life more stable? I didn't have security from losing a parent the day after you're 19. I didn't have any time to thrive. It was all just surviving. So the make me rich part, I always think, is this going to do something that's going to sit in there and it's going to give security for me, my daughters, it's a business that can carry on for generations. And if it doesn't, okay, well, does it fit in the make me famous bit? Now, what does that mean? I've got no interest in being famous. I look at myself on these screens and I'm critical, like anyone is, of how you look and how you talk. But I think that there are things that can be done in this industry. So, for example, if I was Martin Lewis, would providers listen to me more and my ideas? Yes, they would. Would the general public, the consumer, listen to me more? Yes, they would. Would every school in the county and the country have me in to talk to them? Yes, they would. So when I say make me famous and make me rich, I don't mean make me, like super rich, make me super famous. But everything I do, I try and work out, does it fit into one of those categories? And the make me famous stuff really is the pro bono stuff to help raise the industry,
Yeah.
inspire other women into this industry, inspire young people, and just make it more diverse, because I really believe that's needed.
Yeah. And very interesting as well, because you work with your daughters, which I always think must be an interesting dynamic as well. How's that? What I suppose there's going to be two sides to this, because I can see there's going to be positives, particularly what you were saying around your values and where you're trying to take the business.
Yeah.
There's also, I can see there's going to be downsides as well, because actually you are family first, business second. So how does that work?
Well, right now it's worked out, I would say, perfectly. But if you saw the challenges at the beginning of the process, I can't even repeat on here. It was terrible. So there was a real, there's real friction at times, massive friction. It was my middle daughter that I worked with, and she only came temporarily because she has her own health worries. So she's diabetic type 1. She's got she's only got one kidney. She was born with kidney issues. And she's micromanaged at the surveyors where she works, and she only had half an hour lunch. Sometimes had to choose between medication or eating, and it became so it wasn't a planned thing. It was another happy accident, a bit like me coming into the industry. And she came to me temporarily whilst building a marketing company, but in the meantime she fell in love with it as well. However, because we didn't plan for it, there was a lot of friction. It's kind of like, don't tell me to do that. And it's like, well, it's my business. There was a lot of that went on. But bit by bit, we got through it. I think when it's your family, you're probably more prepared to go through things and work on things than if it was someone else. Although I've tried to adopt that now and try and treat that person as if they're your family. So that's what I'll do going forwards in recruitment. But we worked through it, and it was tough. There were some walkout moments and things like that, but now it's honestly just so perfect. To have somebody that is just as inspired and inspiring as people tell me that we can be, and that's your child, and and now we've got the young one coming in. It's just amazing. You can trust them, can't you?
Well, I don't know. Depends which children you've got, I suppose, doesn't it?
No, you just trust them. They're your family. They want the same things. So it's pretty amazing. I would say it's worth the pain, the initial pain.
So actually, with all that said, then what have you learned about yourself during your journey as a business owner?
I've learned I'm very resilient. I'm resilient. I get called relentless a lot as well. So I've got grit, I've got determination, and I think you come into your business as an expert in what you do. And becoming a business person is a completely separate thing. I know that from the outset, because you have to learn about marketing. The last thing that I wouldn't even say mastering, but the last thing I'm learning is recruitment, and that is the toughie to be able to grow. I think if I was talking to anyone else going out in business on their own, just realise you're going to have to work very hard on other matters that is not your speciality. So I was a specialist financial advisor. I could talk about all sorts of mortgages, limited companies, buy-to-lets, protection. I think of myself as an absolute expert in the UK on protection. But did I know about marketing? Did I know about recruitment? Did I know about HR, IT, any of that stuff? You need to build people around you or companies you can outsource to. And I think the hardest thing, my biggest bit of advice is, starting out is one thing. Scaling up, I think, is 10 times harder than starting up. I think it's really tough to scale up.
I suppose that's because you're moving away from you being the center of everything to you having to delegate that activity effectively out across the whole business.
Yeah, you have to do a lot. You have to do coaching. You have to read a lot of books and research a lot of things. I've realized that I'm actually quite a processed person. I probably always have been. So I've got a set list of things that are basics to pack for holiday, because I don't want to rethink about that every time. So, for me, processes and structures are really good for you to scale your business. But it took me a long time to, a good couple of years really to get into that. And I'm still learning now on that. It's a forever learning curve.
I would have thought, for anybody, the better you get, the more you realise you don't know, I suppose, as well, isn't it?
But it's fun, and that's exciting to me,
So Just before we finish, who is the first person that comes to mind when you think about success?
So the people I admire are females, because it's about breaking that ceiling. And that,
Yeah.
I always say, we're not against males, we just want to come and play in the same way, you know.
Yeah.
So Karen Brady,
Yeah.
you know, I've got to admire her. First of all, she was very young, which
Yeah.
I think is brilliant. I love seeing, you know, my daughter Isabella, she's not insurable, and she stands for, you know, trying to inspire younger people. She's so shy. People don't realise she suffers imposter syndrome. She has to talk to herself all the time just to make calls, let alone do podcasts and things like that. So for Karen Brady at her young age to go and take over a football club and succeed in the way she did, I think that is absolutely brilliant. And then you've got Michelle, the Ultimo lady, and Sarah Blakely who was in Spanx as well. And they just did, you know, they looked really female. You know, they didn't try and dress in grey suits, because I've been guilty of that in the past, trying to look, you know, like I'm a power dresser. And you know, they're just authentically themselves, very feminine, but have done amazing. So yeah, those sorts of characters really are who inspire me.
Brilliant. Love it. So the final question then, before we finish, is there any offers or information you'd like people to know if they want to contact you and Velvet for their mortgage and insurance requirements?
Yeah, so at Velvet, we always say we'll talk to anyone. Doesn't matter if you've got a small mortgage or a really high mortgage. We're not that company. We just want to help you.
Yeah.
So we're also about connecting in whichever way is suitable for you. So you can come into our lovely offices at Rockingham Speedway, and we can organise that, and it's absolutely amazing. Not so much on a rainy day like today, but we can organise that. But we do more business with people through Zoom, through telephone calls, email. So we can organise anything like that, a quick 15-minute phone call, and we can see whether we think we'll be able to help you. Oftentimes, people think by sticking with their own lender, they're saving money. We saved a chap on a £98,000 mortgage, more than £5,000 last week, with the lender, because we moved his valuation up, we appealed it, and we got it moved up, and then he got a much better rate. And he on the variable, because he was interest only, he didn't think he could change. So, you know, with your own lender, we can still help you, and we don't charge for that. The other thing we do is we'll look at your policies, and we'll make sure that they're the best thing you can have. You might not be able to change, but what we'll then do is we'll put it in trust for you free of charge, just because it's the right thing to do. We don't charge you, but we hope that by doing all these things, you'll refer people to us. And our business been built purely off of referrals up until now. And then we give everybody who has some review with us, whether it's for insurances or mortgage, we give them a free will at the end, because my mum did a will herself and it was a mess. And when my mum died, as we've said, day after I was 19, I'm now bringing up a 12-year-old. We already didn't have our dad. Didn't care about that, and they didn't do pro bono. They didn't give us any reduced prices, and it cost thousands because of the mess of the will to sort things out. And that's money that we could have had for us. So one of my business goals was to pay for a free will for everyone that had a review with us. And we now can do that. So it's not through Velvet, it's through an outside company that we did a deal with. And we 50 wills for our clients each month. So if it's gone that month, you can wait and you'll have it the following month. So yeah, free will for everyone that has a review with us.
Brilliant. Sounds great. I'll put the contact details into the notes that associate the video as well. So, Joanna, thanks for your time today. Really interesting talking to you. Actually, quite a story going on here as well. And thank you for your time, and take care.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.